Okay, this is our first session of Policy SIG. So in this session, we have 3 presentations. So I'd like to start them. So can you present first one? Okay.
I saw a couple options in bind. Oh. But you can't just do like DSC 0 or 10 or 11 or whatever.
It's not working. Okay. Then it doesn't work. What? Okay, so let's start. As I already said, it is the first session of Policy SIG in APNIC42 meeting. And in this session, we have 3 items on our agenda. First one is SIG administration, which is presented by me. And second one is improving Whois data quality by George Cole. And third one is public safety and accuracy of IP address Whois, presented by Dhammika, who is working for Sri Lanka LEA. So let me start from first presentation, which is SIG administration. So first of all, it is our SIG charter. It says our charter is developing policies and procedures which relate to the management and use of internet address resources by APNIC, NIRs, and ISPs within the Asia Pacific region. And our mailing list is this, and our website is this one. Okay, please go to the next one. So in this SIG, we have SIG chair and SIG co-chair. And current SIG chair is me. I'm Masato Yamanishi. And current co-chair is Sumon. Can you raise your hand? Yes. Then also, the Policy SIG is working very closely with NLONC. So I think it is a good chance to introduce 3 NLONC members in here. So where's after? Oh, after. Can you raise your hand? Oh, see, so he is one of our NLONC members. Okay. Then thank you, after. Thank you, after. And where is Dr. AJ Kamal? Oh, I can't find him. So anyway, Dr. AJ Kamal is another member. And where's Tomohiro? Oh, he is in other session. Okay, Tomohiro will present his proposal in second session in tomorrow morning. But anyway, he's a third member of NLONC. Go to next. Go to next. Yeah, okay. Then this slide shows our steps to implementation proposal. So firstly, what? Oh. Sorry. We have some presentators on WebEx, so they are just disconnected and reconnected. So that's why Adam interrupted me. Anyway, this is our policy development process. So important thing is each proposal will be proposed, should be proposed from the community, and we will discuss it over the mailing list and ask consensus. We will discuss it over the mailing list as well as the physical meeting. Then after that discussion, we will ask consensus at Policy SIG meeting at here. Then again, consensus will be asked again at the APNIC member meeting. Then after comment period, EC will be endorsed the proposal which leads to consensus, and it will be implemented. That's the fundamental processes of PDP process. Can you go to next? Yeah. Then when asking consensus, as I'm always saying, it's not voting process. So it's a consensus. So it is a general agreement taking into consideration comments on the mailing list and at the meeting. Then even though there are some objections, chair will try to figure out whether it is minor objections or major objections. And if remaining objection will be minor objections, chair may decide that proposal leads to consensus, even though there are still some minor objections. Then also participants should work together to resolve objections. It is expected behavior for everybody. Can you go to next slide? Thank you. Then when gauging consensus, in recent meetings, remote participants are very welcome. So we are asking community view by show of hand still, but we also use Confer for remote participants as well as meeting participants. So if you have not yet registered to Confer, please, we will use it in the second session in tomorrow morning. Okay, please go to next. And okay, so that's the SIG administration slide. So if there is no question or comment about administration part, I would like to ask George Kuo to present his presentation.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me clearly? Good, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Policy SIG chair and co-chair for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. Those of you who know me or don't know me, my name is George Kuo. I worked for APNIC. I started working for APNIC back in 2000, so it's been quite some time. And for those of you who know APNIC and know what APNIC does, you know APNIC maintains a Whois database which contains loads of information. Information about IP addresses delegation, information about context of network, contact for administration for the network, technical contact, abuse contact, and so on. If you agree that it is very important to keep the information accurate and up to date, don't raise your hand. Okay, so you all agree, right? Okay. So my talk this afternoon is going to, there's 3 parts in my talk. I'd like to explain to you why, again, I'm here talking about Whois data quality. And can we afford not doing anything the way it is to achieve Whois data quality? And lastly, let's think about how we move forward in terms of achieving the goal of Whois data quality. If I can take you back to year 2006, exactly 10 years ago, and for those of you who are a regular meeting attendees who may have been to Perth, Australia, attended the APNIC41 meeting in Perth, happened there. Do you know what happened in that particular meeting? Something happened about Whois discussion. Do you want to have a guess? It was the last Whois SIG discussion session held in APNIC meeting. And the fact that we have heard more about discussion about Whois data quality, and we have been talking about in the last couple of meetings on Whois data quality, it shows that it is important, right? And again, I think you agree that the database that contains a lot of those information should be registered accurately, correctly, and updated when there's a change. So if I can draw your attention to your relationship to the Whois database. We all do differently. We have different jobs. We use Whois database differently for different purposes. And if I could draw your attention to that. We have various different people consume the information from Whois. We have network operators taking information out of the database, people who work in public safety, security, research organization, and so on. There's another categories of entities or people, whatever you want to call it, that not only consume and use information from the Whois database, but they all also contribute the information back into the Whois database. And who are they? They're the people who have the relationship, the special relationship, contractual relationship with APNIC, NIRs, and they are the members. And let's think about this different relationship to the Whois database, how you use it for whatever purpose. What if the information is not kept updated? What are the consequences? What are the impact? Let's think about that. For those who worked in public safety or just simply wanted to look up who has what, there might be confusion over the resource custodianship. For those engineers who involved in daily operation of the network who will simply do some trouble, imagine what their life would be if they come across a lot of invalid contact information. That's cost of a network troubleshooting. And again, depending on who you are, what you use the Whois for, there may be some indirect impact on your customer service, bad word of mouth, those people who never really updated their information. What does it say about your company? And what does it say for the whole community that help to contribute information to the Whois database? We are also observing increasing invalid contact reporting on a monthly basis, around 100 reports. And think again, those people who have those relationships with NIRs and APNIC, I don't think their legal advisor would be happy to see what they're not doing, what they have some work to do. And if I could draw you to the discussion, I'll take you back to the discussion we had in Auckland, APNIC41. I presented on improving Whois data quality, in which I talked more about APNIC Secretariat's initiative, various different work that we do to help to improve or help members to update the Whois database. But there was another discussion about separating the information in the database basically into two categories. So we're talking about information register by APNIC. You could see it's on the box on the top. And there's information registered by APNIC or NIR members. They contain two different information. The one on the top basically is registry delegation, the IP address given to the operators, to the members. And there's information registered by ISPs about their customers, what we call customer assignments. And there was a general consensus, not consensus, but general agreement with idea or proposal put through that to separate those two information, or at least should have distinct remarks about which part of those information or data it belongs to. So there was a general agreement on, yes, they agree with doing that. There was also another group or a different comments about you make people do it. They are too busy with the daily operation. If you don't compare people to do it, they are not likely to do it. There's also another discussion on, well, that's all good, but I think we need to have more collaboration, wider discussion with other communities, with other RIRs, NIRs, and IT firms, and so on. So we know that there's work to do, but somehow the mailing list discussion stopped a couple months ago. There's no more discussion online. And in fact, after the 41 discussion, Adam Gosling, my colleague at APNIC, he actually composed a very comprehensive mailing list and APNIC blog on the detail of the discussion, what was discussed, and so on. And we did have people participating in the discussion, but then it has stopped. So that's what it is now. But as I say in the beginning, no one seems to raise a hand in this room that you all agree that it is important to keep the registration correct and updated when there's a change in the Whois database. We all agree with that. So how can we, the next slide please. Where do we go from here? We know that doing nothing is not an option. And really, the reason why we are discussing Whois data quality in the policy SIG now is we need everyone's involvement. So your contribution is essential, and APNIC is of course happy to support members' needs in whatever way to help them to update data easily. And we are also happy to help promote the awareness, the importance, and the tools, and so on. Let's look at how we can contribute, or you can contribute. The Policy SIG is the forum, so that is the forum for us to continue the discussion. And for those of you who may know someone that's not in here, not in this room, you can help to raise the awareness to them, talk to them about the need to keep the information updated. And of course, for those of you responsible for maintaining or providing the updated information or updating Whois database, please remember to update the changes timely. And lastly, give your feedback to APNIC support to let APNIC know whatever support or services that's needed. And on that, I'd like to just share some services improvement that we have put to help to contribute to Whois data quality. So in the last 6 months or so, we have made quite a lot of improvement to my APNIC, in particular bulk update, contact management, and we also worked on helping people to report invalid contact much easier. And we are also wanting to help engaging the community more. We go and do member outreach, and we also on a weekly basis, engage member by email or online to do Whois check support. Looking to the future, early next year, we will be upgrading the version of Whois, and we will be introducing organization objects. And just again, to help update easy, changes to the detail will automatically sync with when the member changed the organization contact information. They do not have to then update the org object again in Whois, just to save the trouble. We are also considering providing a public API for data update and online support for members at the renewal to have their contact checked and updated. So we know we have work to do, and we know that it is important that we continue to do this and continue the discussion, and we all agree that information data in Whois database needs to be updated as soon as there's a change. So doing nothing, it's not an option. And we welcome your feedback for APNIC and to improve the update services. If you see us at any events, please approach us and have a chat with us. And while we are in Colombo, you're welcome to visit Services Lounge to talk about this. And to finish my presentation, I just want to share this with you. It's really our collective responsibility. And if you participate in Whois Data Check at the lounge, you'll be getting a free t-shirt. So let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Is there any questions or comment to his presentation?
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Cima from the RAP NCC. Thank you, George, for the presentation. Very good to see the developments that APNIC is working on. I just wanted also to remind us that accurate Whois data is not only important for network operators, law enforcement, parties that use this data, but also for the organizations that hold the data themselves. We have seen in the region, for example, that a large increase in hijackings of internet number resources. There are disputes about internet number resources because they have become valuable assets. And maintaining accurate data about who is the holder, who are the contacts for an LIR, helps protecting the resources for the organizations themselves. So this is one of the important aspects in our opinion. As you, we are also working on improving the processes around it. We have recently released a change to our Whois database, meaning that when you query for a resource, you can select to highlight the values which are managed by the RAP NCC. So not, like you mentioned at the beginning, to create two separate databases, but within the same database to highlight what values are managed by the RAP NCC and what values are managed by the holder of the resources. But yeah, like you mentioned, we as well still have a lot of work to do. The feedback from our members is that at the moment it is too complex and it requires too much effort to maintain an accurate database, to update records, so we are working in trying to automate this and to make it more user-friendly as well.
Thank you, Andrea, for your comments. Very useful for us.
Is there any further comments or questions? If not, thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
And as George mentioned, certainly the accuracy of Whois database is very important, and we need to discuss how we will improve, how we can improve it. However, I also think it's not so easy to discuss and find solution without specific issues or specific solutions. But then that is why we cannot generate any outcome about that, about this discussion, unfortunately. However, this time, some of law enforcement agency reached out to us and asked to present their facing issue. So I think it is a very good chance to familiar about their issues as well as cooperating more with them. So let me invite Dhammika to present their current-facing issue. And also, in addition to Dhammika, we have 3 more participants over the WebEx. So firstly, can you introduce yourself, Dhammika? Then after that, please introduce yourself, remote participants.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dhammika Priyantha. I am actually representing here the entire law enforcement community. Originally, I am from the Sri Lankan police. So this topic, the accuracy, I am going to talk. I think my colleague, he talked about the quality of the data. So we as law enforcement agencies, it is very important to have a quality data or accurate data to trace the suspect or to solve the crimes. So in this presentation, I am not going to talk about more technical technicalities because you are expert that you know better than me on the subject. I would like to talk about the importance of the accuracy data for investigating purposes. Please.
Okay, then who is online? Who are online?
And I will introduce to my colleagues from the FBI and Iranga and Bobby that they also join with me to elaborate some issues and have a more truthful discussion with you to emphasize the importance of accuracy of the data. I think I can continue this presentation and they will join with in the meantime. So use of Whois data and data for various purposes. You will see here this slide that the purpose of using these IP addresses and all these things. So ensuring IP address holders worldwide are properly registered so individuals, consumers, and the public are empowered to resolve abusive practices that impact safety and security. I think I don't want to more explain about these things, but you are familiar with the fact. And assuring the security and reliability of the network. Then assisting business, consumer groups, healthcare organizations, and other organizations in combating abuse. Assisting organizations responsible for the safety of the general public. Actually, that the law enforcement comes on this time to play a major role. That you know that not only cyber crimes, that we all investigate various types of crimes reported from the public. That we are doing for the sake of to create a safer environment to the public. Today, that the development of the technology make number of issues in investigating crimes. It's not only cyber crimes, the financial crimes also, number of areas that involve the internet and cyber. Next one. Public safety use of Whois is important topic that what we are talking here now. The Whois searches are one of many tools investigators use in addition to. We see that routing table services, commercially available tools, internally developed tools and services. However, Whois is the most common starting point for most investigations. Because to start investigation, we as a law enforcement, we receive a complaint from the public. Once we receive it to get idea about crime, who is behind it. So then we need to start looking for the more details. Next one. Then it comes issues. Here we'll see that IP addresses chain of custody accuracy issue is one of the major issue that we have. I think you may understand that when it goes to the courts that we need to prove the crime beyond reasonable doubt. So to prove it, that chain of custody of the accuracy of the information is very important. Otherwise, the court will definitely refuse our evidence or information. So therefore, that it is very important to have accurate and reliable data. Sub-allocation information of ISPs, many times, removed from original delegation can be inaccurate and all data. As a Sri Lankan, that I have experience here that it's like transferring a vehicle without a proper registration or updating registrations. Like in our system that we need to register vehicle identification with the motor traffic department, and the registered owner sell it to another one. If he didn't make changes or the seller's description, then what happened is that the law enforcement difficult to trace the real owner. The same way here, the sub-allocation of IP addresses actually to be updated the accurate information in accurate manner. Then problem expanding, then now we are talking about IPv6 and IETF modern protocol and IoT, so all these things. Then we believe that in the future we will have to collaborate with our partners. In this forum, we are seeking industry solution, work with APNIC and other RIA communities for best solution. Next one. Challenges, I think I talk about more than now briefly I can tell you from a public safety perspective, failure to have accurate Whois information can present the following challenges. Ability of public safety agencies to quickly identify resource used in abusive activities. You know that internet is that very important element that it is always changing. And if you are unable to get real-time information, definitely you won't be able to trace the real guys behind the crime. So if you don't have accurate information with the ISPs, then what happens is that you have to have a lot of other investigations to get that information. That takes time. Then benefit goes to the suspects or a criminal. So then wasted network operator resources dedicated to responding to potentially misdirected legal requests. This also a problem to the ISPs also, because that they will get the request from the law enforcement authority, maybe it may be the court order, anyhow, they have to respond to the court order. So it takes time and the money, so it is waste of time actually. And domain and IP address hijacking, resulting in the potential use of those domain names and numbers. Activity. Be a crime, maybe an act of terrorism. So especially in case of terrorism, investigation of terrorism is very important accuracy data. Otherwise, that the impact to the society or the public safety may be very high. So therefore, that it is our as law enforcement perspectives is that it is very important to have up-to-date, accurate data with the ISPs. Next slide, please. This is one of the case example. I think that my colleague from the FBI will remotely.
We'll just let them know that we're ready for them to talk. We're only doing audio, not video.
Oh, hi there. This is Bobby Flame from the FBI. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. The one case example that we had, and this goes also to the gentleman that was speaking from the floor at Ripe, we had a case of IP hijacking. It was a very big case out of one of our California offices where some nefarious individuals actually got into inaccurate Whois, changed the Whois so that it would look like it was their IP address, had it routed, and was actually able to create a lot of spam, causing millions of dollars in damages to various companies throughout the United States. So the case example, and this is one of many, is where it's not just law enforcement needs that accurate information to attribute criminals when an IP address is used, but the fact that criminals are actually using inaccurate Whois to actually perpetrate crime through IP address hijacking, such as what was illustrated by the gentleman from RIPE. And also, this is also occurring, like the gentleman from RIPE had indicated, because IPv4 addresses are have been depleted from most of the RIRs. They're becoming a very critical, or at least high-priced resource that many criminals are starting to use, and they're seeing the value in the IP hijacking. So in summary, that was pretty much the case example. The case is actually ongoing, so we're not able to share too many details insofar as companies and losses and methods that were used, but I'm sure you in the RIR community know inaccurate Whois and IP hijacking, and how IP Whois information that is inaccurate can be preyed upon and used to perpetrate crime. And this is something that we are seeing, we're seeing more frequently, and it is a big concern for us. So I just wanted to bring that perspective from the ARIN region, or the United States. But it's something, as you have seen from RIPE, that is not just confined to one region, but is being used throughout the world in all of the RIR regions. So I will go back to you and the presentation. We do have other people on the call, just so that you know. We have myself, my name is Bobby Flame. I work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation here in Washington, D.C. Aranga Kahangama also is with the FBI. Both of us work for the Science and Technology branch in the FBI. But we also have Kelly Knight, and I'll let Kelly introduce herself later, but we have Kelly Knight from the New Zealand Police on the line as well. Unfortunately, due to travel limitations and restrictions, we weren't all able to be there. But we also have been in consultation and have the support also of other APNIC region law enforcement, such as the Australian Federal Police and the Korean National Police as well. So just to let you know, it's kind of an international effort that we are doing here. And one of the things we're also trying to do, just so you see the context, is that for law enforcement throughout the world and all the regional internet registries, what we are trying to do is come up with a globally coordinated policy in each of the regional internet registries, that there will be a policy that stresses Whois accuracy down to the closest internet service provider or carrier or local internet registry, so that law enforcement can actually serve legal process to the correct party. A lot of times, as Priyantha has stated and the gentleman before him had stated, a lot of resources and time are wasted in trying to get to the accurate carrier so that legal process can be served. And that is the key there, legal process to the correct person in a timely fashion. So our ultimate goal in presenting to you here, Priyantha presenting, and the Costa Rican police have presented in LACNIC, Europol will present in RIPE, the FBI and the Canadian police will present in ARIN, and African police will present in APNIC, is to have this globally coordinated Whois accuracy policy where the sub-allocations are accurate as well, because we know the regional internet registries in their initial assignments have accurate information, and it seems the inaccuracy or the breakdown comes once there begins a series of sub-allocations, and that's our goal and what we're trying to do. So that's all I had to say for now. I will conclude my comments, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, a colleague from the FBI. So I hope that you got an idea about what we are talking here. It is about accuracy of the data. It is not only about the internet, the accuracy is very important, any other things also. We are doing investigations, especially if we have the accurate data, it definitely helps to protect human rights, even the public. So we as law enforcement agencies within the region and enforcement community and the other stakeholders of the society to have a safer environment to live everybody without fear of crimes. So I use this opportunity to thank the APNIC and in terms of investigation. I hope this discussion will go further and to get a better results in future. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any questions, I would like to take them with support of my colleagues.
Ending. And is there any questions or comments? Come to the microphone and make a line. Bertrand, go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, sorry, a bit of jet lag. Bertrand Charrier from New Caledonia. Just a comment on this. As an ISP, I tend to be very lazy. So having have a requisition, if they can direct the requisition to the correct ISP, I've got less work to do. So it's my interest to have the best Whois database as possible. Thank you.
You're welcome, you are here.
My name is Arthur Carindal from APNIC. So I hope to see you at the coming meeting in November in Mauritius. My question is relating to what kind of mechanism the area have put in place in order to enforcement authorities, because we have some members' information that need to be dealt carefully by the area. But if we open our door to law enforcement authority, that can break confidentiality and the relationship between our members and the area. So what are the mechanisms APNIC have put in place to protect the interests of the members and at the same time dealing with the request from the law enforcement authority? Thank you.
I would like to answer your question in this way. And it is like any other way that we are doing investigations. For example, financial records, financial informations. It is also that confidentiality is very important. So what here we are doing is it's not actually what here only us, it is globalized. And we need to have, we can get the assistance of the financial intelligence unit. So like then we have to go to the courts and ask court orders to get that information from the people that the informations are holding. In the similar way that here, that if we have the accurate data in online and with the Whois database, so we know that this is the place that we need to go to get more information. So absolutely that we will be able to get with the support of the court or the mutual legal assistance request, because many of our countries that are binding together by enacting mutual legal assistance laws. So, and in addition to that, we have Interpol and the Europe, they have a Europol, and not only that, the countries, the law within the law enforcement agencies, that they have MOUs between them, so we can use the same mechanism to get that information in timely manner. I hope I answer your question.
Paul.
Hi, it's Paul Wilson, the head of APNIC. Dhammika, welcome and thank you very much for taking the time to be here. It's very interesting, I think, for us to hear from stakeholders such as yourself, who are so dependent on and so interested in the Whois database, and to give us your perspective. So welcome and thank you, and thanks also to Bobby Flame and the other colleagues of yours. I hope it's been interesting, and I hope the discussion continues because I understand it's important. The question that Arthur raised, I want to say very clearly that that APNIC, in the course of our address request process, we do receive confidential information from our members, and that the confidentiality of that information is absolutely protected by APNIC. It is confidential information, clearly and simply, and we cannot and will not release it to law enforcement unless we actually are required to do so by a legal order, and I think law enforcement understands that absolutely. It seems to be a very common practice. So I just want to make that very clear. I understand that what we're talking about here is Whois data, which is public data, and everyone knows that it's public. It's intended to be public data, and the question is about accuracy and completeness of that data. I'll just say further. So I hope that's an answer to the question. I'll just say further. My understanding is that of course law enforcement and public safety are often pursuing, as are engineers and research and others. They're often pursuing the holder of an IP address for various reasons. But if the user of an IP address is up to something no good, if they're up to some nefarious purpose, then we probably don't expect them to have to be operating from a registered residential or business address with a number, and therefore cyber criminals are that silly. So we're actually not talking about the completeness of the record to that end user level in the expectation that somehow we'll magically find the culprits. But what is found is that it's actually because of the chain of assignment, sub-assignment that can happen between the allocation and the end user, that the chain has to be accurate, otherwise the process of finding that end user can actually be several steps long. So I think my understanding is that the interest here of this proposal is to have accurate registration, not just of the allocation itself, but all the way to the service provider that at least is providing the connectivity to the end user. And that all can be public information. I think we're not being asked to provide confidential information, but actually to follow the principles of accurate public Whois data, at least to that level of the service provider to the end customer.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Clarification.
At
Thank
the
you.
end of the day, that all our objectives is to improve the quality of life. What you all are doing in your side, that what we are doing in our side to improve the quality of life, right? But we see that number of abusers. There are a lot of good people, but small group that they are doing something against the public order or the public safety. So there should be a proper mechanism in place to track down these bad guys, to take them into the law and take appropriate action. So I hope that your support is very important. I know that it is not easy to maintain comprehensive data. The storage issues, and you all are doing for the business purposes, so the profit is very important, but we need to balance both, is my own thinking. We need to balance both. So our ultimate objective is to improve the quality of life. To do that, so we need to have a peaceful environment. Yes,
Okay.
please.
I think one of the remote participants would like to answer for the confidentiality, right? So let's do it first, then I would next. You're next. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Quick response from Bobby Flame.
Oh, hi there. This is Bobby again. Yes, I just wanted to echo Paul's comments because that is exactly what we are trying to do on the international level. This really is just the most basic and rudimentary step where public safety agencies such as law enforcement are just trying to get to the initial service provider, the accurate service provider, so we can provide that legal process. And that has proved increasingly difficult and very hard to do, which unfortunately is having a very negative impact on how we are able to do our jobs. And as you know, with cybercrime or any crimes involving an IP address, it can be a very long and complicated process where we're moving from IP address to IP address or computer or server, crossing international boundaries. So every step, everything that gives us the speed and accuracy to ensure that our legal process is going to the right place really, really does matter. So I just wanted to echo what Paul said, and that is exactly what we are trying to do. So thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you. I'm Henry. I'm with the Indonesian ISP associations. We work a lot with the Indonesian police force as well as anti-terrorism unit of Indonesia. One of the basic problems that we always come across is actually when the crime happens within cellular subscribers, where the cellular operator usually assign IP address dynamically across their hundreds of base stations. So the database of Whois database is actually centralized within their headquarters. So when we track the IP number, it's basically addressed as the cellular operator headquarters, but then the IP number is used somewhere else, you know, in different part of the country. Do you have, can you share with us the experience of handling these kind of things? Probably you come across. Thank you.
We also have this similar type of experience here, but I think that we have a face-to-face dialogue with the ISPs, with the support of ICTA and my colleague from Sri Lankan CERT. So at the end of the day that we were able to resolve some of the issues in a positive manner. So I hope that we have to have a joint meeting and joint discussions, so we should understand each other's responsibilities, right? We as the law enforcement agencies, we think that this is what we need to do, but at the same time we need to look into the ISP's perspectives also. So then both sides, there should be a level that we all can agree to make it in a better manner, the proper manner. So I hope that in Sri Lanka we are resolving all these issues in future, and some of our ICTA people, that legal advisors, they are thinking on these areas, they are talking on these areas. The government concerns also going to take it up to resolve or address these issues. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Sanjaya from APNIC. There's been a lot of emphasis in this discussion so far about the accuracy of the Whois database. I think we need to have another angle to it, and that is responsiveness. Because it's useless to have an accurate data, but the person behind that data, the accurate data, is non-responsive. Nothing frustrates me more as someone who's in charge of APNIC operations than having contact that has stopped responding. So I think whatever it is moving forward now, let's say we make a problem statement to address this problem, let's make sure that whatever on the public space, they need to be told that they need to be responsive as well. That's all I want to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
I can. Do you have developed tools to measure the accuracy of the Whois database so that we can see 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, if things are improving or not? So behind that is a question of how do you define this accuracy in order to measure it?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think it is very appropriate question this time. The answer should be coming from the technical people. My idea is that it should be analyzed case by case, the case by case. So we can't take in, the whole, and we need to address it the case by case. I hope that my colleague here, the community will help answer this question in a proper manner. That my aspect is that. If you have any idea on that or any answer, Or any thoughts, please?
Hi, Aaron Hughes, not representing anybody in particular. Maybe I'll clarify that a bit and tell me if I'm wrong. A metric example might be, say today on average it takes 3 attempts at subpoenaing information. You get back a response from the initial contact. They say, no, we've reallocated to this. We have the next process. It's been now 30 days. You get back another response that says, no, actually it's this end customer of ours. And you get eventually to the final contact that actually has the IP address that you're interested in investigating. Perhaps the underlying question is, do we have a way of gauging that metric is getting better or worse as a collective community back from law enforcement, some real feedback to say, you know, if we've come up with some global text, we've come up with some standards, we've decided to make some effort and put forward some changes, you know, perhaps we can get a metric that is feedback, say every 6 months or a year or 2 years to say, you know what, we've reduced the number of hops it takes to get down to the actual source of IP address that we're investigating. Yeah, and I'm getting a nod, so I think that's probably the metric that was being referred to.
Yes, Anand Durand again. You're totally right, because there are 2 sets of metrics that could be put in place. One set could be internally within the IR and try to come up with some technical measure on how to, I don't know, specialist in this question. And the other is from the users of this data outside of the IR immediate community, and how useful this thing is for them and how accurate it is for them. And hopefully those 2 numbers should match at some point. But it's good to have both the inside view and the outside view.
Thank you very much for putting that very valuable idea. Small point that in future, I think there will be a more fruitful discussions. The community expert can have a better solutions with the coordinations with the law enforcement agencies and other stakeholders. Thank you.
Hi, just a comment from Iranga on WebEx.
No, you might be on mute. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Please speak loudly.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Thanks for the technical help. This is Iranga from the Hangama from the FBI. And just to comment quickly on those comments, we do realize that getting statistics and case examples are important. One thing the investigators on our side tell us often is that when an IP address is inaccurate, it can, our guys, go on to the very next one. You know, it's hard to get investigators with multiple cases on their belt to, you know, record their failures and record their inability to do things. And we are doing some things to try and educate, and we put out surveys. But oftentimes, not only is the process, you know, jumping from one subpoena to the next, but oftentimes it closes an investigation from the start. And so that also, that's also a challenge and a difficulty we face well. But we're also happy to work with you to try and educate our guys more on that. Thank you.
Hi, a quick comment from Kelly Knight.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm the manager of the National High-Tech Crime Group for Police. I just want to support the message coming from the colleagues from the FBI, and it's a common message from law enforcement around the world. One of the difficulties we have is if this inaccuracy or the incompleteness of the data becomes or deteriorates further, then our judicial process will start questioning whether we can serve legal process if we can't rely on the information that we're working with to progress an investigation. It's critical for us across the world, and also when we're trying to assist in international investigations, that we can rely on the information that's been provided by the law enforcement agency that we're working with. So I really appreciate the support that you guys are providing in this forum, and continue the good work. And if there's anything we can do to assist, please let us know.
Thank you. So I just make a comment actually following this meeting and discussion so far that this Whois data accuracy is very important, especially for the law enforcement, but it's not only that. For our operational issue, we need a very correct Whois database actually. So it's our collective responsibility to improve the data quality, and efforts is going on, and we'll very much appreciate that we get some proposal and discussion on the mailing list to move it forward, and we can get a better Whois database. So it helps law enforcement, it helps others, so that we can get better internet. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that the questions is again, I'm a point of view in our issues, and I hope that this discussion will move further, and to have a better policies in place to fill the gaps in investigations. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Sorry. Let me say one more thing. No, actually, let me ask one more question. As I said previously, I think it is a time to discuss a concrete solution to specific issue, like how we can improve record on Whois data should be improved. Then, after considering cases presented in this presentation, does somebody or remote participant or any LEA has any idea how we can improve or fix that issue? Otherwise, we cannot continue. I'm afraid we cannot continue discussion further. Asking idea to write such proposal. So, from LEA side, do you have any which should be implemented in our address policy, or should be do you have any change request to our operational procedures? I think it's a time to discuss such kind of things.
I think that question will be answered by my colleagues from the FBI, those who are working on this subject.
Hi, Craig Ng from APNIC. I am wondering whether Bobby is going to say further about this, but I think in his response, in his comments just now, he did mention that the law enforcement agencies are looking at organizing a globally coordinated policy proposal process through all the RIR regions. So if he's ready to speak, I'll pass it on to Bobby.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, it's just Irang requested the question to be repeated. They can't hear through the handheld mic.
Yeah, then Ilanga, go ahead. Oh, sorry. So my question is, it is a time to discuss more concrete solutions to resolve specific issues. So after considering, does somebody have any idea how we can fix that gap or issues? That's my basic question.
Sorry, I don't think they can hear through the handheld mic. It's not connected to the WebEx. Maybe
Could I just paraphrase? It's Adam here. The chair is asking if you've got any ideas of how we're going to solve this, concrete operational changes or policy changes. And the question's kind of directed at Bobby, I guess. But anyone in the room, I think it was more open.
Oh, hi, this is Bobby, if you wanted me to respond to Craig's question. Okay, so this is Bobby Flame, FBI. What we are trying to do is, and when I say we, this is global law enforcement, each of the law enforcement agencies throughout the 5 regional internet registries. We are looking by next spring to actually introduce a globally coordinated policy, meaning that we would introduce a separate policy in each of the respective regional internet registries that would attempt to have in a policy what we've just articulated today, which is have the Whois accuracy go down to the sub-allocation to the closest ISP, where we'll be able to serve the legal process. So basically, in a nutshell, we are hoping to work with the community based on all the comments we've heard today and at the other regional internet registries to have a Whois accuracy policy that will focus on the sub-allocation of IP addresses once they are assigned from the respective regional internet registry. So I hope that is I hope that's clear, and I hope that's something that we can work on together in each of our respective regions.
But you clear, so that will be your next step. Then let me ask one more question. The last slide of your presentation, you have a list of the name of law enforcement agency in other regions, but I could not find any name for APNIC, Asia Pacific region. So who will take her, who will be the liaison agency when we want to discuss details with LEA?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I think that the Asia Pacific region, that we have our own law enforcement agencies working together in another matter. That with the support of other regional bodies and the APNIC, that we can have a separate meeting between the law enforcement agencies of the Asia Pacific region to address, to answer your question. Welcome.
Thank you. So is there any further questions or comment about this presentation or this topic? Okay, again, thank you very much for presenting it. Can you go back to administration slide? I want to introduce what we will have in tomorrow. So we will have in 2 sessions. First will be from 9 a.m. and second will be 11 a.m. And in first session, we will have annual NC election as well as how many? 3 reports we will have. Then in second session in tomorrow, can you go to next? Yes, proposing prohibit to transfer IPv4 addresses in the final /8. Then in later half of that session, we will discuss my proposal about revising SIG guideline which describes about voting eligibility of chair election as well as chair's term of service. So that's all we will have in tomorrow. Okay. So is there any question or comments about these agenda for tomorrow? If not, I'd like to end of this session. So thank you very much for participating today.